episode of the Ready Friday. My name is JB Mwonge, and on the panel, I have different beautiful ladies and handsome gentlemen from different parts of the world. Yeah, they are Ugandans residing in countries outside Uganda. We specifically meet here every Friday to discuss politics, to discuss what's going on in our country, a country that we want to see change, a fundamental change. I would ask my comrades to introduce themselves in just 1 minute. Let's start with Comrade Sarah Joy.
My name is Sarah Joy Bakanansa. I reside in Boston, and I'm glad to be here today. It's for all our viewers all over the world, you're welcome to such a this. We have so many interesting topics we're going to discuss today, so stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Just get whatever you want to drink, or if you have your food, get it near you, and stay tuned and be part of us.
Thank you, Comrade Anthony.
My name is Anthony Nanyumba, based in Tokyo, Japan, and I'm a struggler in the freedom fighter movement. And I'm a people power strong bloc in Japan. Nice to meet you. Let the struggle continue. Museveni must go 2021.
Thank you, Comrade Nanyumba from Japan. Anne Reddy.
My name is Patricia Sewungu. I'm based in the United Kingdom. I'm a people power activist and an iron lady.
Thank you, Comrade Kingsley.
Yes, greetings everybody. My name is Kingsley. I'm from Sweden. I'm a preacher of the great gospel of Jesus Christ, and I'm really glad to be on the platform for the first time. Thanks all comrades who are here today. And if you're watching from home, wherever you're watching from, we just request you to be prepared. Don't touch your dial. Don't leave where you're seated. On behalf of the balokole bannange mulekera okwemamaaza ensonga ezikola ku ggwanga zitukwatako ffenna era si bya kusaba busabe buli kaseera tusabe Katonda yatuwa obuvunaanyizibwa okwenyigiramu mu kulonda obukulembeze bwe twagala.
All right, thank you. Let's cross over to Comrade Musoke.
My name is Musoke Rulindi Walana. I reside in South Africa, Cape Town. I'm an activist. I've been an activist for the past, 31 years or something, since 1989. Wow. And I'm very happy to be with you and to be a presenter today. Thank you very much.
Welcome. And lastly, Comrade Karim Ntambi.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in, and thanks so much for everybody dedicating their time to talk about these issues. And Comrade JB for giving us the platform. My name is Karim Tambi. I am a People Power Coordinator residing here in Baltimore, Maryland, USA. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, comrades. That's the panel we have today. And I encourage everyone to share this message, to call upon everyone. We have what you want to hear today. Let's start with the Comrade Sarah Joy. Sarah, I'm sure you're having a wonderful time down there in Boston. I can see it is 12:30. This past Wednesday, the People Power leadership actually shocked the entire nation. The move was unexpected, both from, to the people in the opposition and those in the government. I'm talking about the unveiling of the National Unity Platform, the People Power political wing. Sarah, hope you are well versed with what's going on. I want you to take us into perspective, because look, we have some comrades who are attached to other political parties, but here comes People Power. Now it has its own political party. I want you to explain to someone watching us right now and falls in such a category, what advice or what are those people going to do?
Thank you so much, JB. And I would like to start by congratulating the People Power movement for getting a vehicle to steer the movement, because, again, people must understand that the People Power movement remains a pressure group and a group that does steer things towards change in Uganda. But at the same time, we knew over time that at a certain point in time, BOBIWINE or Robert Kyagulanyi will need to have a political party that is going to steer the things politically, because usually, maybe people need to understand that the National Unity Platform is more of a political wing that caters for the political issues. If you want to speak deeper politics and, for example, going into an election and you need people to be identified, there you pull out the party. But when it comes to activism, pushing things you want to be done, then the movement plays key. Because if you put everything and cocoon it into the party, sometimes things don't get done in parties. Sometimes things get done when people put pressure. And when you need people to put pressure, you need people from all different parties, people from all different walks of life. There, because if for example, if there's a bill, there's something you want to fight in Uganda, if you cocoon it to a party, then it's more of asking members of your own party to get involved. But if you push that activity under the movement, a pressure group, then it welcomes everyone. Everyone is welcome to be part of that, because it does not stop them to be members of their party, but at the same time, they can be part of the bigger picture that wants to see change coming up in that particular activity. So for the question you asked, and I've seen all over social media, so many people have been asking, especially what is it going to be done, especially for people who belong to other parties. And from the beginning, from the inception of People Power Movement, they've been part of it. And one of the key names that has come up, for example, look at Honorable Asmani Basariro. He's the president of JEMA, and he's a key person when it comes to the People Power Movement. And I've seen, because I've been following. I had immediately when this came up, when the party was launched, I had my own perspective of what I thought should be done, and I put it up on social media. But again, I've had Joel speak, and I've had the rest speak. I've had the executive secretary, that is Lubongwea, speak. And exactly my prediction did not differ away from where their ideas or what they think is going to be done. They've talked of having an alliance with members who belong to other parties, but are part of the People Power Movement. And I believe what is going to be done and what Uganda should be expecting, they are people who are strongholds of the People Power Movement, and they have their own parties. Like Basarwa is the president of the whole party, JEM. And first of all, what the People Power, the National Unity Platform has done is, first of all, let me take you back a little bit before I complete this. We had so many people pick up forms, people from NRM, people from FDC. Everyone was picking up forms because they want the support of the People Power Movement. Believe it or not, it is the hot cake in Kampala. If you attach yourself to People Power, most people are going to go through and be voted because of that. What launching the party at this point in time, what is it going to help us? It's going to help us see and know who are our own people, because some people are just picking up forms for selfish reasons. Some people don't really want to be part of this. They just want to use BOBIWINE or Honorable Kyagulanyi to get to Parliament. And we know there are such people, and we've seen how they've been behaving. You know, during the day they shout People Power, at night they go and meet President Museveni. So we want, first of all, identifying a party, want to sieve out all these opportunists who want to use the name, the brand Honorable Kyagulanyi to get to Parliament, and at the same time, when they get there, they start licking President Museveni's feet. We don't want such people, because if you want to clean up, from Parliament, because Parliament has been the biggest problem of Uganda, believe it or not. Some of the laws, for example, if it wasn't for Parliament, we wouldn't be having President Museveni running for the next election. It wouldn't be. But Parliament, we've seen it's a rubber stamp of the executive, and we've seen there's so many mistakes they've done that have kept President Museveni in power. So if we reduce the number of the people who say yes in Parliament and have it more of a Parliament that is functional, that works for Ugandans, it will be a very nice place for everyone to be in and debate and share ideas. So the National Unity Party, again, it's going to kick out everyone who was using BOBIWINE as Honorable Kyagulanyi as an opportunity to get to Parliament, especially people who are coming in from FDC, DP. You know, you've started seeing some of them. Some of them have recently, oh, I believe in the movement, but I'm FDC, I'm this and this. But yes, it is not bad.
Yeah, if you can hold it there. On the same point, we well know that we have members actually in the Parliament who came on the People Power ticket, but when they reached in the Parliament, they are trying to extend away from people power as if they
Exactly.
don't know the movement.
Exactly.
So, are you telling me that if you are standing as people power, you have to affiliate to National Unity Platform?
You may not. Right? I'm just giving you. I'm just giving a perfect example of Asmani Basaria. He's the president of his own party, and he's. I know he's one. I know definitely Honorable Kyagulanyi and the rest have had serious conversation with him about an alliance. He's a president of a party and is in parliament because of the push Honorable Kyagulanyi gave to him. That was a very contested election, and he had lost before, so he was coming in for the second time for a trial. And Basarirwa, ever since he came to parliament, he has not abandoned the People Power movement. He has stood with them so many times. You've seen how many times BOBIWINE has been arrested. He has been part of him. And how do you leave out such a comrade who has been part of you? He has never abandoned you. And so I think what is going to happen is that, for example, in areas of Bujiri, where they know they have someone who has been part of the movement and is a very strong supporter of the movement, and he has never abandoned the movement, and everything he has done, he has demonstrated and shown that I'm part of you. He may not come and join the party because he has his own party for reasons. Maybe later he may want to, to come together. But the fact that he's the president of the party and may want to push his own party, I think the most ideal thing to do and the most fair thing would be for Honorable Kyagulanyi and the National Unity Platform is not to field any candidate in Bujiri, and they put their support on Basali. And I think that is what is going to happen, because they are going to look at who are the strong candidates we have, who have been part of us. We campaign for them or we help them get to parliament. And now these candidates, they are not, either they have their strongholds in their parties or their presidents in their party, but we need them, we want them. We cannot throw them out right now because they have been part of us and we still need them. So definitely Basarirwa is going to have full support. And you're going to find in such areas, even if it's not only Wujiri, the people or the National Unity may not field any other candidate that is going to start against their own, this other person that has been working with them from day one. So for the perfect example in Bujiri, I believe 100% the National Unity Platform and People Power Movement is going to stand behind Basarirwa to come back to parliament. Because we believe it or not, it's very key when it comes, even if it may not be key in the national platform, unit in the National Unity Platform because it's a political party, but when it comes to the People Power Movement, he's very key. So going back a little bit to what? Yes?
Yeah, just summarize in just 1 minute.
So I think that is the most ideal thing that is going to happen. But the other thing that is going to help us, we are now going to sieve the chaff from the rice. There are so many people who have been coming and hiding into People Power. For example, I'll give a perfect example. BOBIWINE, Honorable Kyagulanyi almost lost his life in Arua, campaigning for Kassiano Wadri. Where is Kassiano? Kassiano disappeared on the surface. But we lost Kauma died because of Kassiano. If BOBIWINE had not appeared in Arua, half of the things that have happened to him wouldn't have happened. Maybe Kauma wouldn't have died. Maybe BOBIWINE wouldn't have been, in the troubles he got through because he was campaigning for Kassiano. What happened to Kassiano? Kassiano, sometimes you have to give, there's some bit of royalty you must give. Because Kassiano had been defeated in parliament before. He had been kicked out. And basically, BOBIWINE helped him come back. The brand Honorable Kyagulanyi helped Kassiano come back to parliament. And what did Kassiano do? Kassiano abandoned. And I'm very sure, and what I'm asking the executive right now and People Power Movement, field a very good candidate on Kassiano. We want him out of parliament. Because we are not going to have people use us. Kassiano, for sure, he used BOBIWINE. Honorable Kyagulanyi almost lost his life because of Kassiano. We lost Kauma because of Kassiano. Kassiano used us, we've accepted. Now we need to field a candidate who is pro us, who is going to work for us. If ANT is going to field Kassiano, good for them. But we are not going to allow him to use us again to get back to parliament and does not benefit us. Because again, we need candidates who are going to stand for what we believe in. Because you cannot just kick out President Museveni and change things in parliament. If you have people who are using you to get to parliament, and when they get there, they completely forget about you and pretend you never existed. So that's what is going to happen. Even in all these other areas, people who have been using us are going to have trouble. Another example is people who we need to support in all. Look at Honorable Tamaguzi. From day one, he does not malice his words. He doesn't mice his words. He's a very strong supporter of People Power. And but I don't know whether he's DP. He's DP. I don't know. If he comes under the DP, If it comes out as a DP ticket, I'm very sure the national platform, national unity platform, and People Power are going to give their full support to Lutamaguzi. You cannot lose Lutamaguzi. He has been very vocal.
Definitely.
He has stood with his word. So, and I think it's going to be very simple for the people who have been aligning with the People Power movement and have stood the test of time and have been there, and we've seen they've not been taken by the wave or easily bought off. I think the most ideal thing to do is the party, the People Power the National Unity Platform and the People Power movement to stand behind them. So long as, because we align together. What they believe in is what we believe in, even if they belong to another party. So I think we are going to give them our full support.
All right. Thank you, Comrade Sir. That was brilliant, and I'm sure everyone watching us got it very, very well. Let's cross over to Comrade Karim Mutambi, all the way from Washington. Hope you are having a wonderful time as well, Comrade Karim Mutambi. Is everything okay down there in Washington?
Yes, thank you so much, Comrade JB. Yes, everything is okay.
Perfect. And now, Comrade, I'm sure you are studying the political climate both in Uganda and where you are. And I recently read a bill was introduced in the United Congress that's called HR 6986 that is protecting human rights during this season of COVID-19. I want you to take us into perspective. What is the relevance of such a bill to the People Power struggle? Because we've had the human rights violation. Actually, the number of people who have died of the police brutality and those ones who have died because of COVID-19, you can't even compare. I want you to take us into perspective. What is the relevance of such a bill to our struggle, and how have Ugandans in the United States influenced it?
Thank you so much, Comrade JB, and thank you, Sarah Joy, for the submission. If you would allow me a minute to say some words about the latest development in Uganda, I would really be grateful.
You can go ahead.
To other voices. Okay. First of all, I want to congratulate all People Power supporters and the People Power leadership for having our movement evolve and having a political platform where we can compete fully. The reason why I'm saying this is for so long we have been taken as a wave that is going to go. Even when you're trying to have an alliance, if you don't have a backing, somebody's like, oh, you just come and join us. But now we have a home. We have our home where we can sit and negotiate, have a seat on the table. We can go toe to toe with Museveni. We are not only a pressure group, but we are also on the same political table. We have our own seat, which is the National Unity Platform. The other thing that has been hindering our success in the movement before we had the National Unity Platform is also being taken serious by our development partners, because a movement always changes. We can change today. People thought we would die out on social media attacks. We moved on. We moved on to Project Watako. So if you're a movement, you're likely not to be, just a movement. It can come, it can go. But now we have a political wing that is going to be doing the nitty-gritties of politics, and is also going to help us negotiate fully the transition of Ugandan politics with our development partners. So that's a good development. Another thing is a movement that doesn't evolve, that doesn't change, that doesn't rebrand, it stays static. So this is a good way for us to cleanse ourselves, to evolve into something that is bigger than us, something that is going to be our identity. So thanks so much for the people who framed it, for everybody who worked hard to make sure that we are ushered into National Unity Platform. We are ready. We are ready to back it up. We are ready to work together to see change. Now, going back to the question you asked about HR 6986 in Congress, there's a bill following 1948, the Declaration of Human Rights. Congress thought that this would be a right time to look into human rights abuses all over the world, and by introducing HR 6986. The intention is to make sure that the US government, through USAID, can help struggling countries that need help during COVID. It is also going to help us look into countries where there has been massive abuse of human rights. Countries like Uganda, where people have been locked out unjustifiably, where political dissidents have been, some people have been killed, where you have minorities being locked up in refugee camps. So those are some of the things the bill intends to address. And also in other countries like China, where people have been on strict surveillance, in places like Zimbabwe, Honduras, where 3,000 people have been arrested. So that is what the bill is looking into. The good thing is we are lucky. The sponsors of the bill in Congress are both Republican and Democrat. For example, we have Representative Jim McGovern from Massachusetts and Representative Jimmy Raskin. They were the first sponsors, but as of now, we have Ann Wagner. She's a Democratic representative. She's a Republican representative from Montana. Then you have Fitzpatrick Bryan is a Republican from Pennsylvania. We have people like Matt Cartwright, a Democrat from Pennsylvania. So all of those. The other good thing is a similar bill has been introduced in the Senate. It is called the Senate Bill 3819. It's been sponsored by Eddie Mackey from Massachusetts, and the co-sponsor is Marsha Blackwell. She's a Republican from Montana. Now, the good news is we have been working closely with both the Senate and the Congressional Foreign Relations Committee, and Senator Eddie Mackey has met BOBIWINE. Jim Raskin has met BOBIWINE. We have made other Ugandan political leaders interact with these people, and they know exactly what is going on. So what does that mean to us as Ugandans living in the United States? One, that we need to be more involved and keep pushing. Call our representatives and ask them to add their voice on HR 6986, protecting human rights during the pandemic. Call your representatives in the Senate and call your representatives in the Congress and let them know that you are standing with them. You need this bill to be passed, because once that bill is passed, we are going to be able to address the issues like Museveni. We as National Unity Platform, we shall also be able to share some of because we're a political institution, and we work on making sure that we have transitional democracy in Uganda. This is a good time for us to highlight some of the key things that have been happening.
Yes, if you can hold it there.
Yes.
I wanted to chip in and inquire something, because when you look at the recent happenings ever since Museveni turned into something else, a lot has been happening. Brutalities, murder, human rights violation, actually, as if it's a law, as if it's a law in Uganda. Look, we have very many human rights organizations around the world. The Human Rights Watch, the international human rights organizations all over the country. I want to know, why do we put our hope in such a bill? Or why should we wait for these people to respond? Because in most cases, they do wait for atrocities to be done, and then they react. You've never seen them condemn human rights unless something bad has happened. Yasin Kauma has been killed. Rita Kenya has been knocked down by a police vehicle. And then you will see those people making statements. Why do we have to put a hope in those people? Why don't we, I don't know, maybe you can explain to us.
Sure. Thank you so much. Now, what you're going to realize is this work is not about somebody getting killed in Uganda and they react. It has to be us to put pressure on them, because you're going to recognize that during the pandemic, other countries are also abusing human rights, and they are having their people make the case. A place like Honduras, where almost 3,000 people have been imprisoned, other places where people have also been dying, people are being mistreated. So the burden is on us to make sure we highlight the incidents that go on in Uganda. Otherwise, if we don't take the incidents that go on in Uganda serious, nobody is going to. And because also
Comrade Karim, how serious do we take those incidents?
How serious as we as Ugandans?
Explain to someone watching us.
Okay. How do we take the issues serious? By reaching out to our respective representatives, by reaching out, even people in Uganda, reach out to the foreign missions and let them know they shouldn't fund such a system that abuses human rights. For example, earlier this year, the US State Department issued a report on human rights abuses in Uganda. All these incidents of Yasin Kaum are mentioned. However, we as a people living here, it is going to take us to push further, because if you don't, other people are taking that space and making sure that the issues of their countries are raised on an international platform. So it is going to take you and me, it is going to take Patricia in UK, it's going to take my comrade in Sweden to make sure they reach out to those people and let them know that this is what is happening, it is not sustainable. We have a national unity platform that we hope can rejuvenate. We hope that can give a country a sense of direction on how to move. Otherwise, we cannot sit down while our people are being killed and we think some white savior is going to come. No, while you are thinking about that, these people are donating money to Agota. So the burden should be on us to make sure the money is not coming to the NRM regime to abuse the same human rights. And the only way that can happen is if we fully engage. Either you are in Uganda or you are in the diaspora. Make sure you pick up a call. If it means visiting foreign missions in Uganda, I beg my people in Uganda to make sure get the numbers for the respective embassies. Call them, find out what kind of programs they are running. So it's from there that we shall, start causing the change that we need. We cannot sit back. We have a few months. This is the time for us to push. I'm calling upon everybody who is living in the United States to reach out to me, and other team members to make sure we come up with a unified voice, that we can push forward in Congress, in the Senate, make sure not only that this bill is passed, but also that the issues that are affecting Ugandans are highlighted, especially that we are going into this election coming next year. So a lot of things have been going on under the cover. A lot of money has been misused, which are donations not only from the people of America via USAID, but also other countries and the EU. Some of that money is going to be paid by our grandchildren, who are going to be having nowhere to sleep because they have been evicted on their land. So you have to think about what is going to happen, not only today, but 2 years from now, 5 years from now. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Comrade Karim. I'm sure you exhausted everything. That was brilliant. The bill is passed, is tabled, and needs to be passed. Okay. Comrade Patricia Sewung.
Hello.
You get me very well?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm available.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is the Comrade Patricia Sewung from United Kingdom. By the way, welcome back from the birthday celebrations. I know you were celebrating your birthday this past Wednesday. And the happy birthday again. But away from the birthday, we still have a lot of challenges.
The parties have just started. Eh?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying that away from the birthday wishes,
carry on, I'm listening.
There is still a lot to handle, and the Uganda is still in a state which most of us here want to change. And for so long, Ugandans have yearned for that change, for that non-fictional social, economic, and political change. Here comes BOBIWINE, Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, aka BOBIWINE, a man from nowhere, turned everything upside down. But the question is, can BOBIWINE turn Uganda into a middle-income state, according to you, Comrade Patricia?
Thank you so much, and thank you everybody who's watching. You must understand that Uganda is not short of income, but the patronage, the money that is being spread or spent on things that are unnecessary. When I was doing my research, the president gets 18% of Uganda's budget. Remember that 18% out of 40 million people, 18% is too much for one person. All that money is spent to just one person, and that is the president, his convoy, his people, and blood and blood. That is a lot of money to be given to the president. Then you look at the parliament, we have 426 MPs. Uganda is not that big to be having 426 MPs. It is 39% of the budget that goes to the parliament alone. And then it's you can look on the internet, you can Google it, you can check on the budget. 39% of the income of Uganda is allocated to the parliament. Now this is where the trouble is.
Wait a minute, Comrade Patricia. Uganda's budget, 39% goes to parliament expenditure, just as a salary?
Expenditure, yes. That is 425 MPs. They get over 25 million, and that is minus their allowances. Remember, there's the chief whip, simanya bichibichi, kila kitu. All that money goes to these people. The budget of Uganda has been wasted on patronage. Waliwo tear gas, that money has been spent just to fight opposition. The opposition people, I'll give you an example. There's so many people that have been given cars which cost over 6 million Rukaga. That is a lot of money. Uganda's centers are Uganda ziva muchi agriculture. But agriculture, if you know how much money on the budget, it has the lowest budget, which is amazing and very strange. Tourism is given very little money. Yet tourism is a very important, because remember, we had the source of the Nile. We have Lake Victoria. We have Ivory. We have we have so much tourism attraction in Uganda. But because the government of Uganda doesn't care, he doesn't give a damn about what is important. For him, what is important is his convoy and creating the road. Uganda lives on a budget of loans, because the government still comes back to the same thing. It doesn't care. Why People Power or NUP is going to be able, first of all, to change Uganda at least to a middle income, because first of all, the parliament has got to go down. You're going to look, while you are DISO, there's RDC, all these people are being paid. The DISO is being paid, the RDC is being paid, the speaker is being paid, the MP is being paid. All that money is being wasted to unnecessary stuff. There's so much money that goes out of Uganda that you look and think, why is all this money being spent? One MP, just because he's Raphael Magezi and he helped Museveni into the Tojikwatako, he's going to have a convoy. He will have a convoy of SFC, he will have a UPDF, he will have 7 cars, and that is all money. Petrol is being spent on these cars. That is all money. So NUP will be able, because all this will be cut down. And what is important is going to be, so literally, what is important is going to be elevated, and what is less important will be put down. The agriculture sector in Uganda is very, very important, that it needs to have a very good income. MPs needs to be cut down. The ministers that don't, apparently they do not stand for anything. Uganda's got education, but private schools, how many private schools do we have? How much money do they pay? Then there is a problem of corruption in Uganda. There are taxes. It is about 11 million Ugandans that have a TIN number. That means those are the only people that pay taxes. But on a day-to-day basis, JB, you pay tax. Karim Ntambi pays tax. Sarah Joy pays tax. But those taxes go into Volongoto because of the corruption of Uganda. You go and you have, for example, you bring in a container from maybe London or China, and then it gets to Nakawa. And guess what? You don't have a TIN number. Then Kintu Kidogo, what happens? Your car is given a number plate because we have seen a lot of rich people with cars. I'll give you an example. Ham Chigundu, there was a problem with his car and he didn't have a taxi. Brian White, Chameleon, my own friend. We've seen all these people, they have cars and they don't have proper taxes, but those cars have been taxed. So the taxes are not right because the taxes are not going to the right people. So URA is not collecting the taxes to help the government of Uganda. Then you can see when people are talking about fiscal policy, there is double taxation, which is wrong. You cannot tax a tax on another tax. It is wrong. For those people who have studied economics, they'll tell you, you cannot do taxes like that. For people who go and travel to China and bring in business, they get taxed, but the taxes do not get to the right person. So at the end of the day, there is patronage in between our Wakavuyo that moves around. At the end of the day, the money doesn't get to the right person. So the government doesn't benefit from even the taxes. So how is BOBIWINE, as the president of Uganda, how exactly can he curb all this mambo jumbo to create at least Uganda to go to an there is tourism. It is important. Who gets the money? We have ivory. Guess what? The poachers go and kill the animals and sell off. Uganda's got gold. Uganda, who sells the gold? The gold goes through mambo jumbo. Nobody knows where the gold is. Uganda's got petrol today. The petrol, there is also far-fetched stories that come with the petrol. Uganda still failed to do a passage to take off the petrol that we have. So now Uganda is taking loans. So guess what? Uganda is in a vicious cycle of confusion. So this is why Uganda cannot take center part. So if Robert Kyagulanyi as the president comes in, Ugandans are going to have accountability. The MPs will have to ask, because the MPs are supposed to change the supplement, the budget. They're supposed to talk. Not a few people, because I am friends with Karim Ntambi, so I'm going to have to change this supplement budget so that we give this so and so much more money. So once we have accountability, there is no unnecessary corruption, because trust me, corruption plays a very big role in President Museveni's NRM government to fail Uganda moving any further. You can ask me any more questions, please.
Yeah, thank you. But I wanted to chip in, Comrade Sarah Joy. I had her agree to one of the points you raised about reducing the number of member of parliaments. Comrade Sarah Joy, do you agree with the Comrade Patricia that if we reduce on the number of member of parliaments and also reduce on the government expenditure, because from Comrade Patricia's submission, government expenditure is too high in Museveni government, and once we cut it, maybe we can subject that money to. Can you take us from there?
I think you need, at most, for a country as small as Uganda, I think at most you will need 50 members of parliament.
How many?
50 are enough.
50?
Yes. That is a very small type. I'm telling you. For example, Uganda is the size of Texas in America. It is the size of a state in America. That is the whole Uganda. And you do not, Karim will correct me, you don't have 440 congressmen, senators coming from Texas. Yet it's just, Uganda is the size of of just one state in America. So we need only 50 members of parliament. The big 400 for what? What are they doing? You do not have, why are you having RDCs, DISO, ISO for what? DISO definitely should be resolved. A number of them should be resolved. RDCs, you have basically, you know, it is going to be a full, total restructure of everything. Why is Museveni having such, why is the president having such a big budget? For what? Why is the president giving out gifts? Why is he donating cars? You give Kusasile a car of 800 million, you give Bebekule a car of 600 million, you give Kenzo a car. Why is the president giving out gifts? So,
okay, thank
can
you.
I finish?
Patricia is completely right. You have to do a total restructuring. Have only 50 members of parliament, reduce the number of ministers, reduce the number of RDCs. You know, I'm telling you, you can be able to finance Uganda and put money where in areas that are key. Put money in agriculture, put money in healthcare, put money in education without borrowing any money, but cutting the budget and spending less on irrelevant things. Cut the money in security. Uganda is not at war. We were last at war. The last time we heard of anything like rebels, that was Kony. And Kony seems to be a decoy that was put by Museveni to destabilize. I think he wanted to destabilize that area, so he came up with Kony. So we are not at war. Why are we having the most budget going to the security? Why are we buying tanks? Why are we buying tear gas? Why are we buying? We are not at war. We are not fighting with anyone. Uganda doesn't have any bushes anymore. They've all been cut down. We don't have anyone. Where are we going to fight from? So why are we spending money on security? Yet even where we are spending money the most, look at the army guys and the soldiers. They are paid less than $100 a month. Most of them, apart from those related to President Museveni. So we are spending money in wrong places. So we don't need to borrow money. We have enough money in Uganda if we cut down on useless expenditure and spend the money where we're supposed to spend it. So Patricia is 100% right.
All right. Thank you.
Can I finish my submission? Then people can finish. Then when I finish my submission, is that okay?
Before you complete with your submission, I will chip in Comrade Karim Mutambi after you, but I want you to take on this. On the same question you were explaining the point, a few people in the elite class, those I know more than Swamatai and all that, they have not stopped coming out with their criticism that BOBIWINE cannot lead Uganda and all those stories they usually say. I want you also to take it at once. Why do you think they say so? And do you agree with them?
Mr. JB, you must understand that when people stand here and criticize, it is very unnecessary. Abagenda she's a degree holder. She disappeared with money. Mutabire he's a whatever, God knows how many degrees he has. Guess what? The money of the Bank of Uganda disappeared in his presence, and Kasekende was fired because the government of Uganda in the Kosase stood up and said that Kasekende should provide how many land. Come on, I could have owned land from my parents. Very silly. If you watched Kosase throughout, and guess who was in Kosase? People like the MP of Kawempe. What is his name? Very funny. What's his name? MP. Actually, he's disappeared lately.
Kawempe South.
I think you're talking about
his name.
Munyagwa
Mugati Bata. Those are the people who were on Kakatebe Kakosase. And today, Bajenda, who was seen on camera, he wants to come back as an MP. This is where the whole nonsense comes in. This is why you gotta. So when they say that BOBIWINE cannot do this, number one, people power. NUP has got educated people. I know abana basome statistics, abana basome economics, abana bakola bundi, all courses. What is important is to know where is the problem and what is needed to be done. Because if you're allocating 18% budget to the president, that is where the trouble is. That is where our problem is. If you're allocating Munyagwa, Mugati Gwabata to be on Kosase, what course did Munyagwa Mugati Gwa Butter do? Nothing. If you bring the minister of Kampala today to help Betty Kamya, Namugwanya, who didn't even study what is the course called?
Urban planning.
Urban planning. That is where the confusion is. I'm finishing. Bobby Wine, thank God, as the president, he's working so well with the people in the diaspora. There are lots of people in the diaspora who have done so many beautiful courses in very good universities, and he's willing to bring back the people because there is that. Uganda's got an incentive for the returnees. They used to have a number plate, I think it's blue, which means that people are returning back home after how many years of working. So people can come back and they'll take on the government. There are lots of boys and girls who have studied so many beautiful courses. All it is needed is to see where does Uganda's strength is, where is the weakness is, where do we put the money. Just like anybody else when you're doing your goal settings, that is all. Bobby Wine as the president, he just needs to work with the right people and he will plan correctly. Because I've done research myself. I've spoken to the MPs. They don't even know what the budget means. They don't even understand fully the allocation of the budget. They will tell you that they do, but they don't. From the NRM government and the opposition. Because people listen to one word, then they jump around with that. But when you tell them to give you the statistics, they don't know these things. They come on TV, you see them and they're speaking things that are totally far-fetched and they're lying to the people. But thank God that today, as we speak, people are watching. The internet has created a lot of people. People can see these things and they watch it. So when Bobby Wine comes and takes over the government, we shall criticize him. We shall bring him into power. If he dares say to us that he needs 18% of the budget of Uganda, we shall ask him why. So it is very easy to turn Uganda into a middle class income. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Comrade Karimu Tambi, unfortunately the time is up, but
can I join 1 minute? 1 minute.
Yeah.
Okay. Give him the minute.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Patricia, for highlighting wasteful spending in Uganda. My problem is with Parliament, and we should be cautious while handling it because that's where Uganda people's money is spent. Not the money doesn't go to Ugandans, but to the members of Parliament. Let me give an example. If you come from a constituent, let me say district, which has two sides, east and west, and you have two MPs. Each MP, I think they earn 25 million. Isn't it 25 million a month?
Yeah. Yes.
25 million at the end of the year, one MP is going to be earning almost 300 million Uganda shillings. Now, if you have two members of parliament, that's 600 million shillings going to two people in the constituency. So they are earning money in a year that the whole district is not getting. Now, add on another MP. For women, if at all they have an MP for women, that's another 300 million. Now you are going into 1.8 billion. If you add on the 300 million they give each person for cars. So you have 3 MPs, but they are taking the entire budget of the district. If you look at the money that is allocated to our schools and the money that is paid on an MP for a year, I'm just giving you money that is official. Now, I'm not talking about this kitu kya kidogo that just falls onto your account over the night. So Ugandans need to realize that these people are not coming for you to get votes, but to get your money. I'm telling you, a district that doesn't have even a government hospital is spending almost 1.8 billion Uganda shillings on 3 people. On 3 people a year. Think about it.
It's too much.
If somebody earns 25 a month, that's going to be about 300 a year. If there are 3 people, it's then $900. If you add on the 300 million they give each person to buy a car, plus this unidentified spending, the whole money. These people are eating your money for the hospital, for the road, for the schools. No wonder our people go back to these MPs and beg them for money, for works, for funerals, for this, because these are the people who are taking the money. That is not supposed to be the role of the MP, but because our people, I saw elder people, our elders kneeling down to second to get what? To get 2,000 Uganda shillings, and you're humiliating our people. That is unsustainable. We need to fight it. We need to make sure that we cut the spending in Parliament. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Comrade Karim Mutambi, Sarah Joy, and the unready Patricia Seung. That was brilliant. Yeah. Now I want to cross over to Comrade Anthony Nanyumba. We are sorry to keep you awake. I know it's very late. Actually, it is 2:28 a.m. in Japan, Comrade Anthony Nanyumba. But you know, there is a lot to handle, and if it needs you to be awake, an activist like you, I know that's why you are still awake. Comrade Nanyumba.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, I can see you get me. This week we actually we've witnessed the worst out of Museveni's, actually not the worst, but the continued brutal actions, you know, of Museveni's security units, those that these guys as police. They put on police uniform and they do unspeakable things. Like the murder of Comrade Charles Mutyabule, may his soul rest in eternal peace. You know, the live bullets, the tear gas at the People Power headquarters, and a lot more atrocities these people do. I want you to take us also into perspective. Do you expect these people to change in their behavior? And if they do not change, what should the Ugandans do to such a worsening situation, comrade?
Thank you, comrades, for giving me this opportunity. First, I would like to congratulate the People Power movement and for acquiring the political vehicle of national unity platform. It's a great achievement for the Ugandans in the 21st century. And I would like to go to the point of Mr. Museveni. Mr. Museveni is not a new subject. Mr. Museveni, we were young, but history repeats. Museveni, during the old days, he used to kill people in the name of his own benefit. Museveni sent a team of what we call now this General Kahindo Tafile with the other goons. They used to go to Luwero, they kill people in the night, they attack families, and then the next day they send the mourners to go and send a sympathy with them. And when they send their sympathy, the family get a favor to sympathize with the regime of those gorillas during the 80s. The family surrender their children to go to join Museveni in the bush. Museveni is a man who was established himself or became a professional in assassination and killings. You can see the history of Museveni. He went to Dar es Salaam for study. He left Dar es Salaam before he completed the study at the university. He went to the place where is it Frelimo? Is it Frelimo in Mozambique? He joined the guerrilla war. The guerrilla war was not. It has nothing to have a connection with the Uganda, but because he's a man who was interested to do rehearsal in a killing, he went to Frelimo to do a rehearsal how he can prepare himself to come and kill the Ugandans. From there, he came to Uganda. Then he started to go to Luwero. He claimed himself that his votes was rigged, which was a fake story. He went there, many people was killed in Luwero. No one brought Museveni to the court. Now, after 34 years, Museveni has repeated the same game in Uganda because he doesn't want to leave power. Museveni has learned that Ugandans, once you establish a culture of fear and a culture of killing, Ugandans are not going to stand on the street. Museveni has created a culture of brutal intimidation by killing our people. The intention to kill those people, he knows that Honorable Kyagulanyi has gained a majority in Uganda. So if he decided to kill people by car, because the car now, this is the new method, because they know that with the bullet can be traced by the number of the bullet, and it can be still people use that case, use that bullet as evidence to the International Court of Justice. But if you use accident, they can say that accident, it become like maybe an error, a normal error, the car came, something went wrong. And if it went wrong, why our people are being killed? Now we have like 3 people were killed. Retirita was killed, and another one was killed. Muchabule was killed. Ugandans could not stand because Ugandans are still dreaming in the old justice of Uganda. Uganda, I'm appealing to the people of Uganda. We don't have a spirit of law. We don't have a spirit of justice in Uganda. We don't have a spirit of human rights in Uganda. We don't have a spirit of security to protect the people of Uganda. So people of Uganda, when they see these goons with the flag tag on their uniform, people are being convinced in the language what we call a cultural intellectual influence. They look to that tag like a can of coffee, Uganda coffee. You can find a Uganda coffee in America, or you can find it in Japan. So you become excited. You go there, even if they tell you to buy how much, you can buy it because it's a can from your country because of the cultural intellectual influence. Ugandans should stop being led like sheep. Sheep can be led for can be led for a long period or for years. Uganda need to change to be like a lion. A lion can decide to go and invade one village just in one day and benefit itself and protect itself by its nature. Ugandans have got power. The justice now is not in the spirit of law, cannot help our people to be protect themselves. Now the people of Uganda, what I'm appealing to them, the incidents of killing, they have gone to police to complain that those people can be brought to the book. But the police themselves, they keep on confusing them, trying to fool them around that we have not seen the car. So the story just ends there. Now I'm asking for the Uganda people, how are we going to look for that matter to be continuing day by day? And how do you expect that the time when we reach 2021, how many deaths are we going to have to be on our account? This death, Mr. Museveni is trying to create a culture of stigma into the population of Uganda. At the same time, is trying to discourage our principal, our new president of National Unity Platform. Because when these killings increase, the president himself is going to be frustrated. The president, our president himself, Mr. Kyagulanyi, is going to live with the stigma. That stigma can cause our president to start suffering with the mental disturbance. And the people of Uganda too, by seeing the death every day by day, people will lose interest in our movement. Now it's time for the people of Uganda to stand as one. You know, this is not a time for people to be crying for pain. It's like for you yourself to be saying that pain, to be suggesting that pain can be buried under the soil like a dead body. This is not a time to bury the pain under the soil. This is a time to do things in a surgical way. Like the surgeon, you have the pain, you are suffering with the hernia, you go to the theater, they cut your stomach, then the surgeon remove the bad part in your stomach, then you become healed. So Ugandans need now to go for surgical operation so that they can rescue themselves. Let them stand as one. You know, we should not focus on the symptom. Ugandans, they have kept for so many years, for 34 years. They just stick on symptoms. When they can knock the retirita, they just talk about omwana bamuse. After the retirita, then it came to another one. It came to Mutyabule. The story gone. Omwana bamuse. How are we going to be complaining, talking omwana bamuse? Why don't we take ourselves in charge? We have the right for self-protection, for self-defense and protection. If the car knocked our member, this time from now, let our member use the law of nature. The car should not leave the scene. Let our people get what they call a misambu. We can go to these, our brothers in Kiseka. They can create those misambus. We move with some pickups with those misambu. When a car knocked one of our member will just put the misambu in the road. When the car passed the misambu, a car cannot move. Even the driver will be held and will be accountable to the scene. Let the Uganda people take their lead and take their justice from their hand. We should stop this kind of complaining. You see, you can see in Congo neighboring. We are one of our comrades was talking about the election, whatever scientific and so on. They have rejected the commission of election, the commission whom the president suggested to become an electoral commissioner. They went to street and demonstrate. President was not unable to sign to approve that electoral commissioner to be approved to be electoral commissioner. But you can see in Uganda, Museveni appointed the electoral commissioner. The same Museveni come and say, Honorable Kyagulanyi cannot register his party. Ugandans are just using needle to eat beans. This is not a time to use the needle to eat beans. We should stand. It's time to liberate ourselves. The Ugandans now, I'm appealing to you. Me, I'm not talking in a dialogue way that now we talk in a dialogue to make a dialogue with our enemy. We need to use our force. Ugandans, the regime knows that we are coward. This is not a time of coward. You can see the history of Mandela. You can see history of, let's talk about Obote. Obote used a mouth. And he was able to get independence with the other old grandfathers. Just a mouth. Like a Kyagulanyi is using a mouth. The Western, they were having powerful weapons which they can use even to wipe out our population. But they fail. Why now we make Museveni that Museveni look like an angel? He do all of this rubbish, but Ugandans are just keeping quiet, just saying, you know, Akasaja Kazibu. Museveni is not Akasaja Kazibu. Museveni can be defeated. Once we unite, we should stop this mentality of this kind of theory of thinking that Museveni is powerful. He has got plane, he has got military equipment. He can destroy you in hours. Let's stand as one person. Ugandans, stop talking about stories. Be on the scene. If someone will come to knock you, deal with that person with the law of nature, because Museveni has chosen a method to kill our people with the car. So this one is not going to stop today or tomorrow, but it's going to continue. The other day it was in Mukono, now it is in Jinja. The other day it will be in Iganga. The other day it will be in Mbale. How are we going to wait? Just talking will not solve the problem. Let's stand as one to liberate our country.
Thank you very much. That was, wow, I liked it. Thank you very much, Comrade Anthony Nanyumba. I would, I don't know, is there anyone who wanted to give just a submission in just 1 minute on that same point? Or I move on to Comrade Comrade Kingsley. Yes. Let me move on to Comrade Kingsley, all the way from Sweden. Are you getting me well, Comrade?
Unmute.
Sorry, guys. I hear you loud and clear. Do you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect. I get you very well.
Yeah.
Hope you're having a wonderful evening
Absolutely.
down there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I want you to take us through the that purported scientific election. I'm very sure you and me both know this is impractical. Actually, it is impractical in Uganda setting for reasons you know, of course, poor infrastructure. But the question is, how can we work around it, or if need be, prevent it? Because you well know that a bad election is more dangerous than actually, I don't know, COVID-19, AIDS, Ebola combined. It's too bad.
Absolutely.
How can we work around it, or how can we even come to terms on how to prevent it? Because as if the Electoral Commission is adamant to the outcries of Ugandans who want to physically interact with their, people. They want to vote. You can take us from there, Comrade. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, all comrades, and thank you, Comrade JB. Now, when we talk about the scientific election, just like you said, I would like to just re-echo the words of Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, and I will quote him exactly. He said, "We are not going to have a scientific election. We are going for a real election, an election where there's campaigns, where people get to see the person that is wants to tell them whatever he wants to tell them and give them his manifesto and all that stuff, and an election where people come out on election day and vote. Now we have a challenge, and this has been COVID-19. COVID-19 indeed came as a disease. It's a new disease in the world. It's a virus. It's a flu. It has some fever and all that, breathing problems in some countries, and all dictators around the world. I remember one fellow preacher, he said that this is going to be food for dictators, because they're going to use this to do every other thing that they always wanted to do. You see, dictators have an appetite for control, and if you feed their appetite with any opportunity to control people, they're going to they're going to take it up with two arms, and they're going to use it to the best of their ability to make sure that they suppress the people they want to suppress. Now, the thing is, COVID-19 came, yes, and we accepted it's here. But the truth is, there is no COVID-19 or threatening COVID-19 cases in Uganda. That's the first truth we have to understand. We have watched videos of the people that have been hospitalized with COVID-19 dancing in hospitals and, doing all sorts of, they're saying they don't feel no pain, no nothing, nowhere. Now, let's say, how can we really work around this situation? First of all, we have to come to terms with the science, the so-called science that everybody is saying. Let's start with the first place where it comes from. The World Health Organization came out after issuing all the guidelines and telling us all about the virus. In fact, they admitted that they know only part about the virus because it's new, so they're still trying to discover more. But they came up with a very important statement I want to say here. They say an asymptomatic person, it is very rare for an asymptomatic COVID-19 positive person to spread the virus. After they did that, Trump had already seen, the president of the United States had already seen that they had been working with China, and they had been like the mouthpiece for China and trying to promote China agenda. He cut funding to the World Health Organization because they were having inconsistencies in their words. They were having inconsistencies in what they're giving the world. In fact, one American said, it's really so disturbing that we have one person or a group of few people making the health decisions of the whole world, and giving all of us to accept this. So starting from the top, if asymptomatic people cannot transmit the virus, and we have seen it in Uganda, for example, People Power headquarters have always been holding meetings. Even just a few days ago, I think 2 days ago, when they announced the NUP, it was at the People Power headquarters. I saw some people had masks, others didn't have masks, but social distance was totally out of a place. This has been done even by NRM, and even more by NRM. We saw the Ministry of Health, the Minister of Health doing the same thing. She had a rally and stuff like that. Cutting the long story short, how many people in these last weeks have been infected and died of COVID because they were out having public meetings without social distancing? How many?
No one.
No one. There has neither been an increase in cases, and there has neither been a death, because, or a spike in, the cases like it's been in some countries like the United States, because people are gathering in Uganda. So if we get the facts right, we can see that clearly COVID-19 has become a political issue. This is no longer a disease. It's no more than a mere flu. And I have to go to a little bit the scientific part and inform the people that are watching. Scientifically, we can see that the weather conditions up here, because COVID-19 is somewhat a flu and a fever at the same time. It's a virus. We have all known those facts. In countries that are cold, here in Sweden, United States, Europe, and the north of America, and some bits of South America, because of the weather, the cold weather conditions, they are likely. And also due to the fact that these people have a lot of other illnesses. I mean, if you want illness, come to the Western world because they have all the bad food, all the bad weather, and their hope is always medicine, not to prevent the sickness, but always to treat it with medicine, So when you look at these places, they are going to be more affected by things like COVID-19. Come to Africa. We have vitamin D, natural, from when the sun goes up. Vitamin D, free of charge. Here I give my boy vitamin D every day because there is no sun where I live in Sweden. We only get the sun in the summer, like right now, it's not gone down. But for 9 months of the year, we don't have the sun. You have to take the pills of vitamin D. In Africa, in Uganda in particular, it is free of charge. You know, it's summer all the time. It's warm. It's every condition that does not play together with a virus. You know, in other words, Ugandans, in fact, the doctor in Mulago said COVID-19 is a minor sickness because many of the patients they've received have not even shown symptoms, so they can even treat it at home. They don't need to come to Mulago Hospital. Mulago needs to handle more serious health problems of Ugandans because there are very many diseases that are killing Ugandans. Up to now, we still have mothers dying while giving birth to kids in Uganda, and that needs to be looked at seriously. Malaria is still present. AIDS, HIV/AIDS is still present. So scientifically, you can see that the COVID-19 thing is a fraud. You know, in Africa, this is only being used to control people. It is being used to get all those loans for relief and then use them to benefit a small clique of people while 40 million other Ugandans are suffering. Now, let's get to how we can work around COVID.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, our president, our leader, the incoming president of Uganda, has already worked around COVID. I mean, in Kamocha, we can see the meetings are going on, you know, and not only our president, the NRM is right now campaigning in churches that they closed. They're putting campaigns in churches, and most of these, you watch most of the sittings, they don't have masks, or they're not even social distancing, you know. So everything has been proven scientifically wrong about this COVID thing. You know, it's a mess. No one knows what it really is. We have seen our president has started working around it, and he's going to continue to work around it. So I maintain that we're going for a real election. Even the NRM members, some of them have never been seen in their constituencies. Some people don't even know which member is going to stand. They don't know these people. So they're going to need to stand before their people and campaign. The thing is, the government is going to use the police to let NRM campaign. And then when a people power activist goes wherever it is in the village, they're going to surround him with police and tear gas and all that. Now we have to work out ways of working around tear gas. You know, I saw somebody advising people to get these full head gears, you know, that cover for tear gas, especially for the people that are guarding the president when he's traveling, because especially if the driver gets eye blockage and he's driving, we could have a terrible accident. So the security has to be really tight around the president. But we're going to start to work around police. And working around police, I don't mean to speak in violent ways, but I mean we're going to start to face the police and tell them the truth and win them over to our side, so that we're going to have rallies where the police is present and do nothing because of the people and how organized they are and how they have tried to work around police coming into this issue. Because the truth is, there cannot be, let me get into some statistics here. Uganda has 40 million people. Only 30% of those have electricity. Now, for the others that don't have electricity, how are they going to access the campaigns? How are they, even if you divided statistically, if you divided the time that they would allocate each of the television stations and radio stations to give equal time to every candidate to reach out to their people, you first of all don't have enough televisions and enough radio stations to put out the message or to bring all the candidates. Time-wise, it's practically impossible. You're not going to do it. So the thing is, and Museveni knows. This Robert used some word, our president used some word, and he was on, I think, CBS. I said, you know, someone stands boldly and says kids can learn on radio. Okay, let me ask you a question. A language like English that requires reading, how can a child of 9 years old read on a radio? Because English, you get to a part and it's a reading exercise. The teacher writes a word on the blackboard and you're supposed to read it to show that you have understood it. Can you read on a radio? Learning requires both visual and hearing abilities. You cannot. So they're trying to impair Ugandans, reduce them, you know, to this level of understanding that they can confidently say out things that are unimaginable, you know. So that was just an example. You cannot imagine in your head that people are going to hold a poster and listen to the radio and then know what imagine in their heads what attitude the candidate is having and how he's putting across his message, and you know, and who it is for that matter. I mean, a lot of people don't know these candidates, even the NRM candidates, how they look, because they never seen a television, they never had a radio station. So absolutely, it's impossible to have a scientific election. But like the president said, and I repeat, Ugandans are going for a real election. Come campaign time, and they switch on those radio stations, you will see for yourself practically that it's impossible to have all of them. Only the people power people standing for all the different posts. They cannot fill up the time on the radio. It would take a year and a half if you divided time equally for candidates from just one party to have equal time on radio, and then before you bring in another party. So it's practically impossible. It's not going to happen. And I'm calling upon Ugandans to continue to press on the terms of common sense. Let's not even delve into the law and stuff. The law already provides for nothing like an election. A scientific election is in the law of Uganda. You know, the law says if circumstances come like COVID-19, they knew when they were drafting the 1995 Constitution, and they say that we can extend the elections by no more than 6 months and then have a state of emergency, which we know President Museveni is not going to allow, and he cannot allow for the Speaker of the Parliament to take over the country in that time.
Yeah.
So it's practically impossible. It's mathematically impossible. It's scientifically impossible. It is everything impossible. I'll point out one very important thing as I'm closing my submission, getting ready for the questions. See, Museveni in the 1980s, in the late 80s, after he had been in power for some time, was invited by the IMF, and I think I saw that video with the Bank of Uganda Governor Mutebire. By then was a young man, and Josh Mayanjankanji was the Minister of Finance, and they were questioning him about money they had given him. The IMF had given him money to educate Ugandans. See, these Western countries, they invest everything in education because it is hard to rule, or it is hard to govern, let me not use the word rule, but govern an uneducated people. And Museveni intentionally did not use the money to educate Ugandans, but he said, we have priorities, because they questioned Mayanjankanji and they didn't have what to say. So they called his boss. This was IMF top bosses greeting Museveni. And he said, well, we have priorities. You know, trade cannot go on except you have roads, and except you have, you know, you can go through the country, and, you know, the goods and services can move. Now, look, IMF realized that the most important thing a country needs when it's new, when it has attained peace, the first very important thing is to educate the citizens, because in the 21st century, you're going to have a problem running an uneducated country. And the Western powers, too, are going to have a problem helping a country with 90% of its citizens uneducated. And they gave him money to do that. He intentionally did that, not to educate Ugandans, so that they would not be informed. He was preparing for times like this. Look at the Ugandans. How many Ugandans are educated right now? The percentage of education in Uganda is still very, very low, and is concentrated in town areas. Go deep in the villages. The majority of Ugandans have never seen a blackboard. How are they going to reason out these issues? I hear Ugandans every day thanking Museveni for building roads, for building one hospital after 30 years. You know, they do not know their rights and their obligations. See, there are two things a citizen must know of every country. You must know your rights from the state, and you must know your obligations to the state. Your obligations, you have to pay taxes in order to receive services and goods and whatever you receive from the government. But your rights are those things that you rightfully must have as a tax-paying citizen of a country. Every Ugandan is paying taxes because of the indirect taxes. What are they getting? You know, if the government could not take posho, just posho, which is I think 3,000, 4,000 a kilogram, or whatever, 2,500 to the whole population. How about radios? Are they going to distribute radios to 40 million Ugandans? So lastly, I would like to say it's not going to happen. We're going to have a real election. We're preparing for a real election, and we're going to go to the people, and we encourage all people, when you see the candidates come up, please go and meet them. You know, we have to go through this as a real election. If it's not a real election, then it's not election at all. Thank you.
Where's JB? JB has disappeared. Can I just add on that very quickly as we wait for JB to return? It is amazing how the government of Uganda wants to turn Ugandans into fools. First of all, the Constitution of Uganda provided a provision for such an incident.
Absolutely.
Things like a natural disaster. For example, COVID-19 is definitely a natural disaster that nobody has anything to it. But the Constitution of Uganda provided They anticipated such things. They said that in such a case, an election will be held after 6 months. And guess what? Who takes over? I think it's in May, something. In May, around the 9th of May, President Museveni's term has to end. And that means the Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca Kadaga, has got to take over the government as the president, as they prepare and we see what happens thereafter. Then after, a proper election has got to take place. Why is it that Byabakama is not even talking about what the Constitution of Uganda is talking about? Why aren't they even discussing the fact that the Constitution provided that provision that in case of anything, they don't want to talk about it? Then it is amazing that the president of Uganda, in his speech on Monday, he stood on TV and patronized the Ugandans and called Jenny Acheng, Ruth Acheng, whatever her name is, that she's a girl. And excuse me, I think I've got COVID-19. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
He came on TV and patronized the Ugandans and said, oh, the poor girl, people came onto her because she had no choice, because they had seen her and they love her so much. So they came to embrace her and say hello to her. And she had no choice. But the same people, the NRM goons, they say that BOBIWINE must control his followers. BOBIWINE sits in his tondora and drives, or his car, whatever they call it, and he drives, and people naturally follow him like a bee. How can he control them? If the president of Museveni is saying that he was in Chibulala Wali on Entebbe Road, near the little lake, and people came to him, and he had no choice, but he had to leave. What does BOBIWINE, how does he have control to the extent that they have to knock off Mutiawi? Why can they understand that what is good for the goose is good for the gander? Why can't they see that at the end of the day, that if people can run to Ruth Acheng, who is just a minister of health, the people don't even know her. They don't even know who she is. Why can't they run towards BOBIWINE, who has been a celebrity for the past 20 years? He's the singer of Chalenga, for heaven's sake. He's a singer. He's the one who sang Chiwani, for heaven's sake. Why wouldn't people follow him? Absolutely. He's the leader of people power. Why can people follow him? Why can the government of Uganda see these things? They don't, because Museveni's people and the followers have failed to understand that Museveni is scared of BOBIWINE, because he knows that the biggest percentage of Ugandans are the youth. And the youth have stood up and now saying that, you know what, we don't care anymore. We don't have anything to lose anymore. We have lost enough. We want change. So he's like, I'm going to close down this. Nothing is going to happen. So I will come with a scientific election. Why wasn't a scientific election provided for in the constitution before then? 2, the government of Uganda brings OTT. They did not realize that one day OTT is going to come back to eat them. So now, today, they're panicking. They want to use the same OTT that they brought to the Ugandans to elect them. How ironical. How funny that the government of Uganda doesn't care how Ugandans care. So today, what they are equal, and other animals are more equal than others. This is what the animal farm, they used to change things all the time. So the government of Uganda says one thing and does the other. And that is where everybody who has the same mind understands and says that enough is enough. So President Museveni, we challenge you. If BOBIWINE is a singer, like you say, he's a nobody, like you want to say, he's inconsequential, please come into the election and we shall teach you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Patricia, for adding on there. Mr. Ntambi, you have to get off the mute on your mic. But since JB is not here, could I ask all the members that we get to hear from Mr. Musoke just a little bit, because he has been on here. Mr. Musoke.
Sure. Let me go. Let him
Mr.
go
Musoke,
ahead.
are you on? Mr. Musoke, do you hear us? Are you in sync? He doesn't hear. No, he doesn't hear anything, and we're all unmuted. Like there's nobody who has a mute. Mr. Musoke, do you hear us now? Do you hear anybody?
I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Yeah, we were saying that JB got off for a while there, but you had not spoken a word since the program started. So we wanted to hear from you. If you still remember your question, and the people out there, they want to hear from you as we wait to see if JB comes on, so that we don't have one person who has not said a word on the program.
Okay, thank you very much. My question is, how can diaspora be a turning point, factor in the liberation of Uganda? We're having two aspects that we are concerned with: people who are in their diaspora, and we are talking about liberation. So we are talking of Ugandans who are outside their country, who are not at home, and then we are talking of liberation of the country. I think I should just define what brings about liberation. Liberation comes in whereby the country has been captured. So there is a need that the country has to be liberated back from the hands of the people who are the captors. Therefore, there are so many ways of reaching that goal of liberating the country. One of them is elections, but there are so many other ways and avenues that are going to be passed. And then Uganda is one diaspora. We are going to play a very vital role, or they're playing a very vital role, just because of their positioning. They are away from home. They are positioned in the center place whereby they are not affected directly by the dictator. They have that degree of freedom of doing whatever they want to do, and they have the position of interacting with other many players that can aid the liberation of their country. But again, in one aspect, they can play a role whereby they can be mediators of so many forces that may fail to come together amicably, but they need some kind of mediation. So we are talking of people whereby they provide a neutral ground, like this kind of media, and then we are talking of whereby they can be the mediators of many people, so that they can come together and forge ways of liberating the country. But in doing so, there are so many aspects of strategizing, putting plans in place. So the role of putting plans in place, not alone, but coordinating with people at home, whereby we start knowing what we are going to do, how we are going to do it, and what have you. That is one aspect. How do we strategize? How make a plan that is going to be actualized into the liberation of the country? So that's a very, very important thing, that the plans must be put in place. They should be looked through. They should be, fraud proof, so that we know that we are going to succeed in liberating the country. Another aspect is organizing. It can be organizing from the diaspora, but again, it can aid organizing our people, our resources, our tools, even at home. So we should look at, after strategizing, after putting a plan in place, how do we organize? How do we bring together tools and people so that we can actualize the liberation of the country? This can be done through the organizing the campaigns, the organizing the structures, organizing the people. But again, there is organizing the resources. For example, mobilization of the resources. We have ample time, ample space to organize resources from many players, sympathizers. So we should utilize this kind of space to reach out for the cause. Let us publicize the cause. Let us reach out to organizations, people, governments, because we need resources. to do all the plans we are talking about. Let it be election, let it be any other kind of aspect. So let us look at how do we play our role into fundraising and organizing funds and resources and what have you. There are so many other things that apart from resources that are needed, tools and what have you. Then how do we use those resources in aiding, in organizing our people on the ground, in putting structures, in motivating all the people to come up and join up into the struggle of liberating the country. That is a very, very important role that we should play, that we are doing the organization, but also aiding the organization at home. So we should look at that. Apart from that, let us publicize all the atrocities. Let us publicize all the negatives. Let other people get to know our cause. Let people get sympathetic. Let people get to know our prayer, our problem, so that they should understand where we stand. That when we do anything, they should be from the knowledge point of view that Ugandans are oppressed, the country has been captured, it needs liberation, and that need is justified, just not so that people should understand us. Because if we go alone, if we go like as if people don't know that something is happening, then they may not come in when it's needed, even if it's just moral support, even if just understanding. So we just need also to publicize our problem. We should package our strategy so that people can know. People Power has done a great job. That is a brand that is known internationally. People are affiliating it. They see it as a force. Let it put it furthermore so that many people, not even only Ugandans, but get to know that then we need the liberate our country. From that, then we have to actualize. Yes, please.
Okay, sorry for interrupting you. Sorry, guys, my network had jammed and I was automatically stopped from continuing. I don't know where you started from. I can see the time is up. We had set for 1.5 hours. I wanted just to let you know to summarize on that last point, and we see how we can finish up this show.
Well, thank you very much. My last point was the actualization of that program. How do we go into, after planning, after strategies planning, how do we go into action? How do we plan the war? Let it be the elections. Those are the nitty-gritty of the electoral process. If it's another struggle, how do we strategize? How do we actualize and aid the actualization of the real struggle? And then so that whatever we do is feasible, is tangible, has been protected, the information doesn't leak to our enemies, so that we can now actualize and hit the nail on the head and achieve our goal of liberating the country. And then thereafter, the post-liberation, how do you go about what is needed to be done? What do we do? Do we have a transition? How do we transform? Some point have come that we need to restructure everything. How do we go about it, and how do we move forward as a country and have a better country and where the victors crown? That's my conclusion. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. And I'm sure we've heard from each and every one. Although we can't exhaust everything, a lot happens actually on a daily basis in this country we call home. A lot happens. That's why we always come on Friday and try to discuss some of these issues, because when you look at our TV stations, the NBS, the NTV, the Spark TV, the stories they tell there are totally disconnected from the current realities we want to hear. You will find the stories of Brian White, you will find the stories of Uncut, you will find the funny stories when they schedule to host our president, Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, then that's when you will see funny stories. When you go to, and then later on they tell you that the man from above said something and they threatened their lives and all of that. So we shall always come on Friday to tell these stories, to keep engaging our people down there who needed to hear this information. But lastly, when you look at this panel today, actually, if not 99%, you are all Ugandans in the diaspora. And of course, I have to thank you, because for so long, you guys have played a very important role in the activities aimed at nothing less other than causing that fundamental change we all want in our country. Of course, this change has not yet been achieved, but at least we've moved some, some step. I want to ask you, besides being here, talking good English, and all that kind of thing, how can you, I want each one of you to summarize, because just in 1 minute, giving advice, giving ideas in just 1 minute, as well as encouraging the youth in Uganda, because currently there is this ongoing youth election, which some people think it is an NRM thing, because there has been a document circulating. The Electoral Commission is secretly giving out forms to the NRM aspirants. So, besides being here talking that good English, I want you to give ideas to our people in Uganda, especially the youth, and also advise your friends in the diaspora how you people can be a turning point in this change that we want. Let's start with Comrade Karim Ntambi.
Thank you so much, JB. Once again, the role of the diaspora. I would echo the words, some of the sentiments that Mr. Msoke was saying. What should we do? We are blessed as the diaspora now, because we have a home in National Unity Platform. We can legitimately negotiate on tables of our development partners as part of a democratic process that is trying to change Uganda. So now we are legitimate. We can go and negotiate the same way FDC or the same way DP can come to these tables of our international development partners and let them know that now we have a big movement of people that is willing to change, and it's also legitimate. We have a registered political platform, which is National Unity, the National Unity Platform. So we are now covered. We are no longer being questions. Where do you fall? Where do you belong? We are no longer a wave, but we are stationed while we are rebranding the struggle. So two, you asked about the elections that are going on in Uganda. What I would say is that it's up to us to pick up those forms and be the change that we need to be. I would urge everybody who has leadership skills to not stay home. We need to change, and change comes from bottom up. While others want to change parliament, we need to change our villages, because it's on our villages where the LDUs are going to be killing people if we don't take charge of our LC1. That's where power starts, from the micro. So we have to make sure that we encourage our people to run for these offices, starting from LC1, councillors. We have to take charge, because if we don't,
your minute is over.
Okay. I'll let,
thank you very much. Yes, let's cross over to Comrade Sarah Joy.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all our viewers who have been watching us throughout the 1 hour and a half. Hope this has been really there's a lot I've learned from myself sitting on this other side. So I believe so many people have learned a lot watching us and following up what is happening in Uganda. But speaking of what is happening in Uganda right now, the youth elections and nominations coming up, I think many youth, especially if you believe in change, don't shy away, go and pick up the phones and engage. And I usually tell people, because you mentioned what you advise, you need to tell these people. I think the only, mostly, and I've said it again, I'm going to say it here, is the youth, you need to get involved in this, because you're not helping anyone. You're helping yourself. You're not doing this for Honorable Kyagulanyi. You're not doing anyone a favor. If you feel you're comfortable with the poor infrastructure, if you feel you love the embezzlement, the corruption in Uganda, then change is not for you. But if you feel the problems of Uganda, you're tired, you're educated, you can't find a job, You're a young person, but you don't know where to go. We've seen now young people, burning themselves. Do you know what it means for a 23-year-old to buy paraffin or petrol, throw it on himself and light himself up? At 23 years, my dreams, I bought my first car at 23 years. The dreams were so big. The boy in Masaka, 19 years. At 19, the dreams, if you lived in a country that was functional, the dreams can be so, you want to buy a plane, you want to build a house. The dreams are so big that killing yourself is none of those dreams. So for Ugandans back home and Ugandans and everywhere, if you're in the diaspora and you still support President Museveni, you have a problem, because you would be in Uganda, but the difficult conditions in Uganda, whichever way it is, forced you to live in Uganda. Whether you didn't live for jobs, whether you left because your parents brought you, you should have stayed in Uganda. Uganda has better weather than any country in the diaspora. Because why should you go through winter and leave the sun that comes down 24/7 throughout the year, 365 days a year? So that means there is a problem why you left Uganda. Any country where you are, so long as you're not born in that country, you're a refugee. Wherever, how you got there, it doesn't matter. You left your country, so you must participate. You must demand for change. So for the Ugandans, and this is the question I hear a lot from people, oh, you've refused. Someone will come on social media and tell you, oh, instead of convincing me, I stopped convincing people to believe in change. If you're comfortable with the situation you're in, then change is not for you.
All right,
we are not going to continue convincing people who are going through bad infrastructure, who are jobless. You're jobless and you want me to convince you to be part of the movement? Are you crazy? I'm not. Enjoy being jobless. This is not time to convince. You're going to convince yourself. If you're tired of the situation, be part of change. If you're comfortable, then enjoy the comfort.
Okay. Thank you, Comrade Sir. Let's call Comrade Anthony Nanyumba. Yeah, in 1 minute, Comrade.
Okay, thank you, comrades, for the opportunity. Mine, I would like just to appeal to the people of Uganda. The struggle we are facing now is not a struggle for anybody. It's a struggle for each Uganda, the one who was born on the soil of Uganda or have a passport of Uganda or ID. I just want to let the people of Uganda to know, some Ugandans bagambe ebyo tebinkwatako. It's like to carry a stick and you beat a bed sheet. When you beat a bed sheet, the bed sheet itself will slash you back. So the Ugandans, Mr. Honorable Kyagulanyi struggle, he has tried his best to lead you to liberate the country. If you ignore him and you try to beat him with the stick, that stick you are using to beat Honorable Kyagulanyi is going to slash you back. So put it in your mind, the struggle is ours, and without that, if you allow Mr. Museveni to come into power again in the 2021, don't see the history to change. You have been seeing the Nigerians, they cross the Mediterranean Sea, going there by boat. It will come to you. You will be the one starting to die in the sea in the next 7 years. You will not be able even to get a passport to move from Uganda to go to Japan, to go to America, to go anywhere. So you must know that this is your chance to use on 2021 to liberate yourself. This is not a war for anybody. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. The struggle continues. We need to liberate our country. We stop behaving like a sheep. A sheep can be led for a lifetime. Be like a lion. A lion by its nature, he used the nature itself to go to any place and liberate itself. It can be one lion, but it can attack a village and let the animal in the village to run upside down. Be one Ugandan, but be like a lion.
Yes, yeah, that was good. Yes, Comrade Patricia Seung, in 1 minute, please.
Thank you so much. Very important. First of all, I have been reliably informed that so many parties are frustrating the youth to go and get their forms. They're asking them for 100,000 to register. Please, NUP is welcoming everybody. If you want to stand as a youth, please go to Kamocha and speak to the leaders and you get the forms, because now NUP can provide that, so you can stand as NUP. It is important that we fill up the places in the youth sector, because if NRM takes over, just like they're doing, because they're frustrating people, if they do take more places, it's going to frustrate everybody, because they're going to say that, look, people power is known anywhere, they don't do anything. So please, it is important. The people in the diaspora, I urge you, let us go back to the villages. We need to dig deep into our pockets. We need to encourage the people on the village, at home, but we need to facilitate. The boys and girls going to the villages, trying to look for the voters, need money. They need facilitation. They need transport. If we have to buy umbrellas now, that needs money. The flyers need money. Everything needs money. Please stop thinking that Patricia will do it. Sarah J is going to do it. I am not going to do it. Do it. Everybody comes from a particular village. Stop pretending as if you don't know where you come from. If you come from Greater Masaka, please come and speak to me. We are doing quite a lot of work in Masaka. If you come from Mubende, find somebody. Speak to the people. Make up a group. Create groups so that you collect funds to go to the people in Mubende. We need to send off the boys and girls to go and do our work, but we need to facilitate them. It is important. If you see that you have youth that you know that you feel they can stand, please go and encourage them, but also facilitate them. Facilitate them. They need a little bit of transport here and there. It is important. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Comrade. Comrade Musoke Lule, can you also give us your last words in 1 minute?
Thank you very much. I appreciate all your contribution about this. Yes, we need to help those people. But again, just my take with the concern that the NRM government and the Electoral Commission are playing cat and mouth tricks of not disallowing or hindering the people from standing. I think the youth or even all Ugandans should come together and have tactics. I mean, brainstorm and have tactics on how to handle that problems, because we can't give them a way forward that they should do this and this, but because they know it better. So they should not stand alone. Let them sit in groups and strategize on see how they are going to pressurize and see that they get there, because they have to. These people are not going to be so direct. If these people are just I mean, in isolation, they are going to be frustrated and they are going to be failed. So let them stand together and strategize and see how best they can go about these problems and solve it. And then again, I want to call upon our people to help the people, like my sister Patricia said. Let us aid them so that they can actually their agenda of standing and have the youth the whole process go. I mean, won by the people power and the NUP. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And lastly, Comrade Kingsley, Sweden, what do you say about the youth? Give them confidence and any piece of advice. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Comrade JB, and all the comrades that have been with us tonight. I just want to say in few words and re-echo the words of Sarah Joy that you know the situation, you best know the situation you are in Uganda. You know, I have, most of us have been born and raised in Uganda. We have not taken a big part of our lives here, so we know exactly what's going on. But you who is in Uganda right now, you know exactly how you are affected. You know how the unemployment and everything is affecting you. So just know that your vote is the bridge between you and change, you know. And Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu right now is the person representing 40 million Ugandans. I ask everybody in Uganda, even in the diaspora, please, wherever you see the name Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, replace it with 40 million Ugandans. He's only representing the 40 million Ugandans who are yearning for change, you know. And he has come up, offered himself, come to near death, and done everything he can to be a leader of a revolution that's going to change the country. Now, what you have to do is to get actively engaged in the process of changing your own country, because when you change the country, it will change your destiny. The country you live in, the type of government that you have determines what food your children will eat, what schools they will go to, if you can travel in and out of a country freely, if you can travel from your home and come back safe from work. The government in charge determines all those things. Lastly, to the balokole, because I'm a preacher, we use this excuse so much, oh, let's pray, whatever, you know. No, God created you and gave you responsibility to make the world. He gave you a better place. And you can do that by choosing. One of the responsibilities, if you didn't know, is choosing your leaders. Stop hiding behind church. I know the church has played a very pivotal role in keeping this government in power. You know, they have shied away from all political issues. They say politics does not involve them. But right now, unemployment does not only affect non-balokole or whatever, unemployment affects every Ugandan. So let's even take religion out of it. We are all Ugandans. We're affected by the same things back home. I would have wanted to be a businessman, but I cannot do business home because power cuts is almost every 30 minutes you have a power cut in Uganda. What business can you have running with all those power cuts, with all those high taxes and stuff like that? You know, so let's get actively involved. And also remember, don't move alone. Always have groups, make groups, move in large numbers, because when your friend has been knocked by the police, we can have somebody to report and we can get to know the information. Lastly, to the Ugandans in diaspora, I think it's high time we formed a quorum that unites all diaspora, Ugandans in diaspora who want to change. You know, and we have to see how we can, because lobbying for things internationally requires when you're very organized and you're united as a group. Now, thanks, the political vehicle came, and I know the registration is coming soon. We are waiting for that online registration to be a member of the NUP. I just can't wait for People Power to put up that online registration so that we can fill in our details, so that the party can know how many members it has. And I can guarantee you 10 million on the first day of registration. We're already going to be more than 10 million Ugandans are going to register with the NUP, irrespective of wherever they have been. So I want to encourage you that you are in the winning vehicle. Our vehicle is leading in every point. What we shall do, personally, what I can do is to pray and hope, but also get so much actively involved, especially you guys that are on ground. Stop this thing of, you know, we have to pray and whatever, those things of a ganja man cannot lead the country. If Amin, an educated man, led the country for 9 good years, and he did the best economic decision any Ugandan could make when he first of all temporarily fired the Asians from Uganda and gave the economy back to Ugandans. How about BOBIWINE, a lawyer by profession who is soon going to graduate as a lawyer, and he has a lot of education. I mean, it doesn't take education, it takes a mind that cares about the people. That's what we want. We are not looking for another intellectual. Intellectuals have looted the country, intellectuals have stolen from the country, and these intellectuals are in fact Christians. So they cannot tell us anything. They have defied whatever the Bible says, you know, by not caring about the people, by looting from the people, by looting the country dry. Uganda is very small. Uganda is very rich. So it is not hard to govern. So get actively involved. This affects you much more than it affects anybody. So if you are a young person in Uganda, just know you account for 80% of the population. If we all rallied behind a fellow young person, we have this vote hands down. It's a landslide victory, like Trump always says. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much, you guys. Thank you very, very, very much. Yeah, your ideas were fully welcomed. I was going through the comments here as well. I have a comment section on the left of this software I'm using to broadcast this live, but the comments, everyone is appreciating you. Everyone is very, very, very appreciative of your ideas. But again, my last comment would be, let it go to all of us. Everyone who is below the age of 35. You know, we all believe in the ideology of people power. That's if, at all, you are tired of Museveni brutality and the misgovernance, the bad governance. But we have an opportunity. We have this opportunity, the youth election. Remember, we always say that we want to take up leadership from president up to LC1. That is not going to be done if we just keep talking about it. We need to act. And here is an opportunity, the youth election. I encourage each one of us, if you can't participate practically, at least facilitate someone who is going to contest. If you can't facilitate, at least spread the message, because I've been reliably informed that the Electoral Commission is secretly giving out forms to a selected group of youth. So everywhere our president went to Arua, you saw the masses that followed him. In Jinja, you saw the masses. He went to Rukunjiri, you saw the masses. Masaka, you saw the masses. Everywhere he goes, you see the masses. So we have to turn those masses into productive youths. And that can only happen if we fully participate in these elections. Guys, thank you for this. Thank you for your time. And let me hope if I call upon you next time, you will be here to speak that English. I salute you and bye-bye.